What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to teach you how to set up your SBG passive subwoofer series. These are perfect for supplying the low end for any live performances, recording setups, DJ events, band rehearsals, and much more. Now these subs come in 12-inch, 15-inch, and 18-inch versions in both 4 ohms or 8 ohms. Today we're using the 12-inch 8 ohm versions, but the setup for each of these subs are exactly the same. Now each of these subs come with handles on the side, so it makes it easy to bring to any gig or event. And we can actually prop up speakers on top of the subwoofers using the pole mount sockets here on the top. For those setups, we can use any mounting pole like our RSP36s and insert them into the pole sockets on the top of the subs. Then we just place our speakers on top of the pole and we're all set. This is a great setup if we're using speakers and subs together for any live event or DJ setup. So now we can run these subs to a couple of passive speakers for a live setup. So let me show you how to do that now. Alright, so here I have my powered mixer and my 2 passive speakers that I'm going to connect to my subs. So first I'm going to start by connecting my 2 passive speakers to my mixer with a couple of SpeakON cables. I'm going to take one end and plug it into the left and right speaker outputs on my mixer. Then I'm going to take my other ends and plug them into the SpeakON input on my speakers. So now I'm going to connect my speakers to my subwoofers with another pair of SpeakON cables. To do that, I'm going to take one end and plug them into the SpeakON output on the back of my speakers. Then I'm going to take the other ends and plug them into the SpeakON inputs on my subs. Now one important thing to point out is that when we're using the outputs of our passive speakers to our subs, we're actually daisy chaining them in parallel. That means if I have 2 8 ohm speakers like the ones here and my subs on either the left or right channel, that means the final impedance load would be 4 ohms. So we would just want to make sure that our mixer or amplifier can handle the 4 ohm load. So if you're using the 4 ohm version of our subs, you're going to want to make sure that your speakers are also in 4 ohms for a final impedance of 2 ohms. And then you would just want to make sure that the mixer can handle the 2 ohm load for each left and right channel. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn on my mixer. So now I'm just going to want to raise the main left and right faders on my mixer. And now since I have my phone connected to the Bluetooth channel on my mixer, I'm going to want to raise that fader as well. So let's hear how this whole setup sounds. So powerful. You're hearing the high end from the speakers as well, so it makes a really nice setup. Now we can also use the 1/4 inch input or the positive and negative wire terminals to connect our speakers as well. And when we input into one source, the other sources actually become outputs, so we can daisy chain speakers with those as well. Now like I mentioned before, we can run our subs to a power amp with a passive mixer and a couple of active speakers. So let me show you how we would set that up next. Alright, so here I have my power amp, my passive mixer, and my 2 active speakers that I'm going to connect to our subs. So first I'm going to connect my passive mixer to my power amp with a couple of 1/4 inch cables. I'm just going to take one end of both cables and plug them into the 1/4 inch main outputs on my mixer. Then I'm going to take the other ends and plug them into the channel A and B 1/4 inch inputs on the back of my amp. So next I want to connect my amp to my active speakers with a couple of XLR cables. I'm going to take my female ends and plug them into the channels A and B link outputs on the back of my amp. Then I'm going to take the other ends and plug them into the XLR line inputs on my speakers. And then I'm going to connect our subs to the power amp with a couple of SpeakON cables. I'm going to take one of each end and plug them into the SpeakON outputs on the back of the power amp. Then I'm going to take the other ends and plug them into the SpeakON inputs on the back of the sub. So now I can go ahead and turn on my power amp, then I can turn on my mixer, and then I can turn on my 2 speakers. So now I'm going to want to raise the volumes on my power amp, then I'm going to want to raise the line level outputs on the back of my speakers, then I'm going to want to raise the main left and right outputs on my mixer, and because I have my phone connected to a channel on our mixer, I'm going to want to raise the volume for that channel as well. Also really important to note, you're going to want to set the crossover on the back of the amp to whatever sub frequency you see fit, so that nothing but the low end is being sent to the subs. So now that we've got everything connected, leveled up, and ready to go, let's hear how the whole setup sounds. Setup for parties or live DJ events. So I hope this just showed you guys how easy it is to set up your SBG passive subwoofer series. However, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always guys, I'm Perry from Rockville, and I'll see you next time.